me. I am author of the book Bringing Back Bacteria, where I teach you all the fundamental guides on wild fermentation. You can follow me on my socials at Wild and Artfully Me to learn a lot more. Today with me, I have April. April, will you tell the audience exactly what you do?
Yes, I have a background in massage therapy, and I have been practicing holistic health and massage therapy since 1998, and have recently picked up the somatic massage therapy, and that's what we'll be discussing today.
Awesome. Yes. So today's topic is all about somatic therapy. And I learned this in my psychology course, which was the exact same time you went through training. So it was just really crazy because, you're local to me, which is awesome. So April, can you go ahead and tell us, like, how would you define somatic massage in your own words?
Well, somatic massage really works at a deeper level for people. Not just a physical, let's get into the muscles, let's get into the circulatory system. It's not working specifically with that like massage therapy would do. It works a little bit more with movements and allowing any stuck energies that are in our body from trauma. Say you got into a car accident or something like that, you'll have something physically stuck in your body. Or if you've had trauma from life experiences, we also store those in our body. So within the movements, it allows your body's own intelligence to release the stuck trauma, the emotions, etc., without forcing. So it's kind of a way to remind our bodies and our minds that this moment right here and now is not the same moment, not that moment, the one that set the trigger and the trauma response.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like we are hitting the reset button on our body's response.
Yes, we're taking out, say, whatever that trauma is stuck into my left shoulder. It's taking that stuckness and releasing it gently so that now you might have more movement in that shoulder, or you might realize that, oh gosh, my heart space feels a little bit different because
Yes.
it's worked on an internal or emotional trauma.
Okay. So, Harvard Medical University wrote an article on this, and they say that somatic therapy explores how the body expresses deeply painful experiences, that in which applies mind and body healing to aid with trauma recovery. And I feel like you did a really great job in explaining just that. I mean, because like you said, you're entering on a cellular level, not just going in and you relieving the tension or not out of my shoulder. Like, we have a specific intention to get rid of what's going on emotionally. And I do have my psychology book definition as well for somatic symptom and related disorders. Psychological disorders characterized by bodily symptoms that are either distressing or interfere with a person's functioning, along with like excessive thoughts, feelings, and behaviors about the symptoms, which basically describes trauma. So, bringing that up, what symptoms can a somatic massage alleviate?
Well, technically, because you and your body are your own healer. So with the movements, it allows your body to go, aha, I can feel this openness now. And so I just facilitate the connection, the bridge, if you will.
Right.
Um, so symptoms someone finds themselves free of are set in motion by the client's subconscious choice to
Right.
let go. Um, some of the things that I have seen through the sessions that I've done, I have seen increases in self esteem and self love. I've seen people go from not being motivated at all to do anything to motivation to get up and do the things that they
Right.
enjoy doing, to do the things that they know they need to do. I've also found people have found realizations of their lifelong dreams and goals. So things that they've been wanting to do and wanting to put into practice, they just haven't felt the openness or the ability to do that at the point when they were coming to see me. And this work has allowed them to finally open up that part and realize some of their lifelong dreams. Um, and also really a greater appreciation of self and others, because with the somatic massage we're really being very mindful about our own bodies, so it helps us to be appreciative of the things that our body does for us.
Right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. Um, Hello, Matt from North Carolina. Thanks for joining us today. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense. It's like, so pretty much anything that is really distressing, like we are healing it ourselves. You're just helping us get through that pathway. So that brings me to my next question for you. What was training like for somatic therapy? And did you see anything in person that really stood out to you? And also, why did you decide to go train for this?
So I decided to train for this because I wanted to add on to what I'm already doing in a way that people could really feel a deep release and a deep freedom from traumas that they have incurred in their life. And so when I went to take this training, it was very, very eye opening because we included mindfulness as well with the training that I did because it was based for massage therapists.
Right.
So we just added the mindfulness trait to the somatic, which I think elevates the
Yeah.
session incredibly. Um, but also realizing that trauma is not a defect. It is our body's own adaptive intelligence that aids us in ways to overcome situations that we may have been in, or that have happened to us, and it's no longer taking place.
Right.
So those things are super helpful to understand that this is not a defect, this is not a problem. This is something that now I can accept that this has taken place. It has affected my life, and now we can release it without having to relive the trauma trigger itself.
So that's kind of different than because most everybody knows I'm going to school for human services and counseling, where I'm taking all these counseling classes. So in the future, if someone comes to see me, it's just like talk therapy, and it would be up to me as a counselor to embrace loving kindness meditation. But that's still different than what you went to training for because um, you don't have to really say anything, right? Is what you're saying?
You don't have to say
Okay.
anything. In fact, many of my sessions, the client feels comfortable just receiving. um, but there are times that I will start out a session where we do the a little bit of verbal stuff before we get onto the table to do the physical stuff. And I say physical stuff very lightly because
Yeah.
it's physical, yes, but it is also a deeper sense of that. So it just kind of depends on the person, and it kind of depends on what they're needing that day. Um, Typically through a session, I will guide you through some breathing techniques if I am at a spot where I feel like, okay, there's something stuck here. We need to have them breathe through this a little bit. So there's a little bit of talking from me, but it doesn't always have to be from whom's receiving.
Okay. Hello from Texas and Florida. Guys, if you have any questions for us on somatic therapy, specifically for April, put them down and we'll do a Q&A at the end of the video. So April, why did you want to even train for this? Like you're already a massage therapist, you have a established practice. What was the point of continuing this education further for you personally?
For me personally, I know that I've had past traumas. I've had things that just stay stuck in the body, and we try other things that may not work for us, and this is just an addition that somebody can say, you know what, like I really think I'd like to try this because you don't have to relive that trauma. You don't have to go back into a space where you're uncomfortable. It's almost like your body just says, "Oh, okay, that's stuck here in this movement, in this rocking, or in this shaking, or whatever it is. I can release that gently, and I don't actually have to go back and like mentally go back into a space that I'm uncomfortable."
Right.
So that's what I wanted to do, was to be able to help people do this, to release traumas, to release emotions in a way that they didn't have to relive the things that caused the uncomfortable feeling to start with.
And it's pretty cool because you already have your background in massage therapy, so you know the points, and it was probably pretty easy for you to go in there and learn that training, knowing what to hit on certain points of the body. Did you see anything in training that really stood out to you that was like, "Damn, this is real," that kind of set you back on your heels?
It's a very basic but very interesting story. So we did what we call love the foot. And so we take one foot of our partner, and we spent about 15 minutes just working on this foot. And when I say working, I literally don't mean like I'm physically massaging the foot. It is not. It was very much a like mindful connection to the client.
Hmm.
And so you start out with like just a very basic curiosity of like, if I wanted to mold this foot into a sculpture, I need to know every little detail and every little knot. And so like that exploratory phase would send you into a phase of like, I would think about something that made me feel unconditional love. And so, as we know, when we're feeling a certain way, we can transfer that feeling to other
Right.
people. And it is even a higher level when you're touching that person. So,
So it's
interestingly,
and it's the same as I'm having a bad day and you give me a hug and then I feel better.
yes. Yes. And so when we were doing Love the Foot and we were done with that, so only one of our feet had been done and the other one hadn't. And so you would step off of the table. And I told them, I was like, it's so interesting because the foot that did not get worked on felt like I had like a pirate peg leg bec-
Wow.
because it felt much more dense, and it felt shorter, and
Yeah.
it didn't feel loved. And I
Right.
was like, this is really interesting that this
It felt
one
like a
foot,
cement block.
yes, it felt
Okay.
so different. And I was like, that's literally with just 15 minutes of loving the foot.
Yeah.
And so what could this do for a full body? Like, it has
Yeah.
to be amazing.
Right. So someone comes into your practice and they've never done anything like this. They're probably even questioning whatever is going to happen, right? But they believe that this is where they need to be. What can someone expect as soon as they come see you? What's the first thing, step by step? Not too lengthy in detail, but like what can we expect when we walk into your room?
So when you walk into my space initially, I actually give you just a few seconds to acclimate to the room, because your body will automatically feel the difference when you walk into my healing space as you felt when you were outside. Because when
Right,
you're outside, you're feeling all of the collective stuff that's going on outside. And so I allow your body and your mind to just take a few seconds to acclimate, to feel the safety and the comfort that comes with the healing space that you are now in.
right,
Um, so once we get through that, and we'll sit down and chat for a moment. And typically what I'm wanting to find out is what was the reason for your visit, and what it is that you would like to release. And sometimes people don't know. They're
right.
just like, I don't know. I just felt like someone told me about this, and it sounded really perfect for what I would like to try. And that's perfectly fine. You don't have to know, because your body will tell me.
Right.
Um, and so it depends on the day, it depends on the person, it depends on the visit as to whether or not I will start with doing some verbal somatics before we get onto the table, but we will always start with a little bit of breathing, and we will always start with you taking a body scan of yourself, because that sets the tone for you to have some mindfulness about what's going on in your own body. And it sets the ability for you to say, okay, when we did the body scan, I felt this in my right rib. Let's give a little mindfulness to that. Um, So we always do that before we climb on, because it's allowing you to set your body in a space that is accepting and willing and knows that it's safe to release whatever it needs to release once we're on the table.
Right.
And
How long do
so
these sessions usually last?
typically the first session, I want to extend it. So typically the first session is going to be 80 to 90 minutes, because we do need to get associated with each other. We need to get acclimated to each other's energy, and we need to see where we stand in our space. And so the first session will take a little bit longer, and typically the follow-up sessions don't have to take that long. One, because we've already done such a great job of releasing in the first session that you've come for, but
Right.
also because we don't have to go through all of the get to know you kind of
Yeah.
thing. So the second session usually lasts somewhere between 60 and 70 minutes.
Yeah.
And if someone takes a long break, say, they haven't seen me in 5 months and they
Yeah.
come back in, we're probably going to want to start back over, just so that we can get real acclimated, because what's happening in our lives now is not the same thing that was happening in our lives 5 months ago. So
Exactly.
right, so we have to, like, reconfigure everything so that they're getting the fullest extent of healing that they can.
Right. So I know from experience because I am one of your clients. And, coming into your space is just so safe. Like it just feels like such a safe environment for me. And it honestly brings me back because I have been to more than one somatic session with you, and I have seen the benefits of it. I've seen the proof in the pudding. I have seen it. And coming in to help with my PTSD or maybe some troubling thoughts that's bothering me, I have left feeling such a release from you and feeling better. Even though this is such a very holistic approach, like, you can't deny its workings. I mean, it is just insane. And so I know from experience that being on the table with you the first time, I never in my life thought I would have uncontrollable crying or shaking. Like, I was overwhelmed. I was overtaken by, I'm like, what is going on with me? But, during that moment, it's like I go back to all those emotions I was holding on to and I'm letting them go. And you're providing the space for me to, like, say, it's okay, release it. And then I no longer feel the same about that situation. So I think that's pretty impeccable. One thing I did notice when I'm on your table, and this is a fully clothed experience. So I noticed when I'm on your table and you go to certain points of my body, is there a reason that you go per knowing what I want to work on? Is that how you assess it? Or is it pretty much like a little massage dance for everyone to help release what needs to be released?
It is absolutely not choreographed. It
Okay.
can't be.
Okay.
In order for every person to receive exactly what they need, it cannot be choreographed.
Okay.
Now, typically, I'm gonna start at either the head or the feet,
Yeah.
just because that's an entry
Yeah.
point for your body, and it's an easier acceptance. Your body accepts that entry point a little
Right.
easier. So it's different for everyone. And typically, if you feel me stopping in a place, or I'm asking you to breathe into that space, or we do a little extra work in that space, it's because I've intuitively picked up that there is some stuckness going on there.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes people don't even know. They're like, I had no idea that in my right hip I
Yeah.
had something stuck there, and you went right to it, and we were able to release that
Yeah.
stuckness. So it's definitely individualized, and also when it comes to like talking, the verbal portion is also individualized, because some
Right.
people aren't good with that and some people love it. So just feeling out what they feel most comfortable with, and my
Right.
intuitive nature just comes in anyway. So when I'm working with you, sometimes the space that you're like, oh yeah, this is definitely feeling stuck for me, it's not actually the most
Yeah.
stuck that I feel intuitively.
Uh,
um,
it could be somewhere else that we're just trying to correlate it to.
Yes, we don't realize that sometimes, like, our shoulder is connected to our hip, and
Right.
if we release the hip, it also releases the shoulder,
Yes.
and it's our bodies are amazing,
Yeah.
amazing things, that we are so interconnected
Right.
that you can do something to release the foot that helps with your neck. Like,
That's crazy.
it's crazy.
So I know from experience, like my after my first session with you, it was a long session. What didn't you say? What, an hour and 30?
Yes.
It was a lot of releasing. And for years, I had suffered from hip pain. It was excruciating. Like if you were to like accidentally like go by my hip, like I would be like, that hurt, and I'm going to get very violent right now. Like, and this was before kids. I've had 3 kids. Even before kids, I've suffered with this pain. After my first visit with you, I've had no hip pain at all.
Really? I had no idea. That's awesome.
None. It's like totally relieved, and it's amazing. Like I see I see that symptom of release being on my level somatically and just released, and it's like I had no clue that that could have been a very highly emotional spot that was just holding on in my hips, you know?
Right.
And I do encourage everyone to look up Gabor Mate. And he wrote a book called The Body Keeps Score, or he helped co-write, but The Body Keeps Score. It's just absolutely true, and I don't even think we realize it because somatic therapy isn't exactly what we call mainstream quite yet. But I've I'm friends with so many therapists, and they all recommend it. They
Yeah.
because it is holistic. It is something that you can go do, and there's like no side effects to it except for getting better or relieving pain from your body.
Yes. And somatics is gonna be different for everyone. Like,
Okay.
what you receive, um, everyone is gonna react differently. Some people might not have any visual release, but then when we're done, they're like, "Oh my gosh," and they tell me the whole story of what they were feeling and how they feel so much better. Some people have release in tears, some people have release in laughter, some people,
So not everyone is releasing emotions the same like I did in controllable crying.
right. And
Okay.
some people are very, very still. Some people shake a little, some people shake a lot. And everybody's experience is going to be different because it sits in everybody's body differently. So
Right.
we also have to release it differently for them.
Uh, so when it comes to like neglect, PTSD, sexual abuse, I know you said everything is each session is individualized, but do you think you have to spend more parts on certain types of the body for those issues when it comes to severe trauma? Do you feel like you stay longer on
Um,
trying to get that release?
I do. I stay as long as their body tells me to stay.
Okay.
So and that helps with the mindfulness that's included with this. So with every session, I am embodying what I feel like unconditional love feels like, and I'm also embodying whatever quality they want to feel after their session. So if they come in and they're saying like, I feel so dense and really, really heavy in my neck. And I say, okay, what quality would you like to feel? And they may say, I want to feel peaceful. And so I embody that peacefulness,
Yeah.
what peaceful feels to me. So all of this is included in what they're receiving, their bodies doing the work for them. I'm just aiding in it. And so
Mhm.
if their body says, okay, like I'm done, we can't
Can't do no more. Yeah.
we can't rock this rib anymore. Stop. I do. I will move on. And I have had sessions where we were expected to go 80, 90 minutes, and their body literally at 70 minutes was like, I'm done.
Oh,
And
okay.
I will finish the session and let them know this is why,
Yeah.
because your body is intelligent.
Yeah.
It knows when it has had all it can do to release what it can release. It also knows, like, what I came here to release for today has been done. So
Right.
let's wrap it up.
Right. I knew my last session with you. It was I came in. I'm like, I have no idea what I want to do, and just by talking to you, you really helped me realize why I was there. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've got this issue. Like, say for example, if someone is didn't feel loved growing up, right, and they would come to you for that, like that would be pretty traumatic, I would say, on your table, trying to, because you're going back on, when I'm on your table, like I'm going back through all of these memories. And I even had like a few panic attacks. But the weird thing about when I have a panic attack on your table versus at home is I feel like I'm in control when I'm with you. And it doesn't feel the same. Yeah, the breathing, the fast heartbeat, but with you working, it feels like I'm letting it go. Does that make sense?
Yes. And
It doesn't
sometimes
feel like
those
I'm suffering. It just feels like I'm letting it go.
yes, sometimes those panic feelings can come up. Those real anxiety feelings.
Yeah.
And that's actually not a bad thing. We
Right.
automatically put a negative connotation to those things, but it's not necessarily a bad thing if you're on my table, because that means it's coming to the surface and now we're releasing it.
Right.
So that's why you feel more in control of it, because it's not just a, oh, it's hit me and now I'm out of control with it and
Right.
it's taking over me. It's more like, oh, this is coming up to the surface. Okay, this feels like it's getting a little much. And
Yeah.
then it just kind of soothes itself out.
Right. And with that came with like certain memories. And it's like, now it's time to deal with this, even though it was like 16 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that are deep,
Yeah.
and that's why the somatics is so um helpful, because I'm literally just taking your body and moving it in ways that we would normally release something. So if we have a sore wrist or something, we shake it out.
Right.
Um, it's just moving the body in ways that it would normally move, but allowing it to do so passively, but also allowing it to know that it can fall
Yeah.
in a safe place. And
Right.
they said when I took the training that the therapy is in the fall.
Mm. I
So
like that.
yes, it's awesome, because when you're doing the motion, you are passively receiving it, but the fall is all you.
Right.
And it could be a little fall or it could be a big fall, but it's still a safe one, to where your body is like, okay, let's just get that out of there.
How does it feel as a somatic therapist when you are in these sessions with these strong, intense emotions, and you get someone like me who wants to like cry, and you feel the release or the maybe the fall, and it's like, how do you feel in those moments? Do you feel like I did it? Like I did what she came here to do? Like how does that feel?
It's interesting because typically, like, I'm very emotionally connected to people when
Yeah.
they come in. And so a typical session, if someone were to have a release, like, I'm gonna cry too because
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, I'm feeling it
Yeah.
too." But the interesting thing with the somatic work is I don't feel it like that. I
Hmm.
feel it intuitively enough that I can say, "Okay, this is where we need to release this for them."
Okay.
But I'm a separate person, like, I don't
Yeah.
have to feel that too. Um,
You do really good at keeping that separate. Like, this is your problem, and I'm helping you relieve it, but don't make it my problem.
yeah,
Okay.
um, and honestly, like, with the movement, with the fall, I can't necessarily tell with the movement if they've released whatever that is,
Okay.
but typically, if I feel something, I'll say, "Okay, let's do our breathing. Let's do this deep breath or this 3 count breath." And that little bit takes the I don't know, maybe if I'm at the foot and I'm shaking the foot, it allows them to breathe that trauma that's stuck that
Yeah.
I can feel. It allows them to breathe it all the way out.
Right.
But if you're not breathing, you're still kind of holding on to it. Um,
That is a very good anxiety response too, where you're just like clenching and you're not releasing at that point.
yes, because your body's like, this isn't safe to do this here. It's not
Yeah.
safe to do this now.
Yeah.
Um, so you are safe to do it here and do it now when you're with me on my table.
That's awesome. So we're going to get dirty here. What would you say to someone who is considering this method of releasing trauma but is worried it would interfere with their religious beliefs?
Well, I had never considered it
Hmm.
before, because this practice feels very personal to me. It doesn't feel like there can be a label put on it.
Yeah.
And so, like, this work focuses on a natural connection between your mind and your body. We were
Right.
made that way.
Right.
Um, and it aids in a stronger, better love connection to yourself, which
Right.
is what we should all do because if we have a stronger and better love and connection with ourselves, then we can also share that with other people.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like a religious practice or anything like that. It doesn't feel like it should affect anything like that because what you're doing for yourself is
Yeah.
allowing more freedom and more light to come in.
Right.
So who wouldn't want that? Who
Yeah.
wouldn't want to allow, lightness to be in our bodies and to feel more love for ourselves?
I think some people get a little worried, like, I don't want to do Reiki, but I want to, you know what I mean? And they get confused when they hear like something like this, like somatic therapy, which is different, it's but with it being just such a foreign idea, it's so easy for people to be like, "Oh, that's like a shamanic ritual, right?" Like, and it's not, It's, it's this
That's
is
so
like,
interesting that you
yeah,
bring that up because it never even occurred to me.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
because, like, that's not even in my mind
Because
because
you're
it
it's
is
not what it is. That's why.
right, and it's so different too, like, the way that I'm interacting with your body and the way that you're interacting with your own body are it's totally different than if you're receiving energy healing.
Right.
Even though this is healing your energy,
Yeah.
it's
It's
totally
totally
different.
different. It's like you are present and aware, and like you said earlier, you yourself are really involved in this process. Like you need your body awareness, like you need to be aware of why you're here to release it, you know? So it makes sense, I'm a devout Catholic, so I do want to encourage other people if they do think this is like a shamanic ritual. It's not. Therapists, are recommending it. This is pretty much science based. So take comfort in knowing that if you suffer from any trauma and you still want to be religious, they don't coincide here. Like this is different. Like you need to get your mind right and your body healed, and this is the perfect way to do this. So that is all I have for my questions for you, Miss April. So
You
I'm
know,
going to put,
Jamie, I
yeah,
feel like what you were just saying about with the religion
yeah,
is it, if anything, what it does is it helps to take those spaces that you weren't allowing that divine light in because
right,
it's been so stuck,
exactly,
and releases that so that you can actually appreciate more of what it is that you believe,
exactly.
because now you have freedom in your body.
Yeah, yeah, and you do. You feel that mental clarity open up.
Yes.
I
It's
agree.
crazy how much the mental clarity comes into play too, because I can't work with your brain,
Yeah,
but I am working with your brain through your body.
emotionally,
Yes,
yes,
and the fact that our own bodies respond and do this healing for us
yeah,
is amazing.
it is amazing. So I'm going to put you on the spot. So if there is one thing you could tell someone who is thinking about somatic therapy and they were on the kind of on the fence about it, like they don't know if they believe in it, because it's not like you're coming and you're getting a physical product, right? What would you say to that person?
Well, one, let me say, I have had several people ask for me to include some of the somatic movements and work in our regular basic massage. So they've
Oh,
scheduled like the traditional type massage, but then they want to add in this trauma informed somatic work. So I've actually added that to my offerings so that people that want to still get a little bit of the traditional massage, they can, while still receiving some of the somatic work too.
oh, I love that.
Yes.
So
So I
now I know
have
what to
added
book
that.
when I come back.
And and that I've always said that my massage work is sort of the gateway for
Yeah.
people to feel comfortable with me, because you
Yeah.
can feel if you feel safe or not,
Oh, yeah.
you
Hmm.
know? And
Our
so that,
bodies do really well at giving us that signal.
yes, they do. And massage is something that is very mainstream. Everybody knows about. So if you can come in and say, I think I want to just do my regular massage, but can we just add in a little bit of the somatic stuff? It's perfect. So then
Yeah.
that sort of allows them to go, oh, okay, this is something I think I would like to do a full session on. But if you're not into that, if you still just want to come for the somatic that is fully clothed, um, I would say, the easiest way to find out if it's for you is to come try it.
Yeah.
We're working through a mindful connection for you, for you to live a more fulfilled life, a more productive life. And
Yeah.
so if you come in and you're like, oh, I'm not sure about this, I can assure you that you're safe here. You feel safe as soon as you walk into my space. And because it's fully closed, you know that there's very slim opportunities for you to not feel safe.
Right.
And honestly, once the movements start, your body as a client, you almost unconsciously have no other choice but to relax.
Right. It's true. But yeah, I love that. And I really appreciate you coming on here with me. So, for our people who are local, where can they find you to get this wonderful experience that I highly recommend?
I am located in downtown Florence, South Carolina, and I'm in the BTC building, which is 181 East Evans. I'm a little hard to find the first time, but it's really actually wonderful because that also means it's quiet. And
Yeah.
if you want to look up things online for me, I am on Instagram under biospectrum underscore holistics, I believe that is, and on Facebook, which is facebook.com biospectrum holistics.
Awesome. I really appreciate you coming on and sharing a little piece of what you do to helping people become better human beings.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it.
I have too. I'll see you next time, April.
Thank you.
Bye, sweetie.